was passed by Congress in 1854. This law opened, at least theoretically, the free lands in the West to slavery. Northern anger over the act led to the formation of the Republican Party, and Lincoln was its nominee for Illinois' Senate seat in 1858. Although he lost the election, he gained national acclaim by his spirited campaign. 2 years later, as the new party's candidate, he was elected president. Few people cared less about these developments than the Booths. Junius felt that actors should stay clear of politics. It made no sense to alienate half the audience before the curtain rose by being a political partisan. For all his success, Junius didn't want his children on the stage. It was a punishing life. He recommended they do something else, perhaps become undertakers. The Booth sons turned to acting against his advice. Junius Jr., called June, Edwin, John Wilkes, and Joseph all trod the boards. Billed as the father as he lived, June was a modest success. Joe took one look at the audience, froze with fear, and was hauled off to the wings. Edwin and John were exceptionally talented, however, and they became stars. Their company was sought, their autographs collected, and their photographs sold in stores. By the time of the Civil War, the two brothers were among the nation's top actors. Lincoln never met either man personally. He did see them act in Washington, D.C. The president attended 8 performances by Edwin and an undetermined number by John. He liked meeting actors, and once asked that John come out from backstage to visit him between acts. The young Southerner, who was passionately pro-Confederate, said coldly that he would rather have the applause of a Negro. John's fear of a Lincoln dictatorship and his growing hatred of African Americans obscured the reality that he and the president had much in common. They were devoted to their mothers and ambivalent about their fathers. They loved children, but had complicated relationships with women. They were extremely ambitious, yet able to earn the affection and loyalty of others. They enjoyed poetry and the theater. They revered Shakespeare. They also shared something else. Born in the first half of the 19th century, they lived in an era of remarkable progress. Advances in medicine brought forth anesthesia, the glass hypodermic syringe, the plastic surgery. Electromagnetic induction, absolute zero, and the cellular basis of plants were discovered. Propellers, vulcanized rubber, sewing machines, and the mechanical calculator were invented. Steel and petroleum came of age. Nature was being harnessed and rationality applied to life's challenges. As a benefit, people traveled faster, read more, ate better, and lived longer. Such progress was the stride of God, wrote novelist Victor Hugo. Regrettably, the new technology meant the end of the limited warfare of professional armies of the past and the beginning of the devastating world wars so familiar in the 20th century. Rifled weapons, repeating rifles, land and river mines, ironclad ships, and hand grenades tore through soldiers in a manner unprecedented in history. Reconnaissance balloons, the first step in aerial warfare, spied on the armies. Telegraphs carried their messages, railroad trains transported their soldiers, and photography documented their dead, while the first submarine raised its head from the deep, and the first machine gun rewrote the nature of combat. These advances changed the way people lived, thought, fought, and died. But would they change people? For all their progress, millions of Americans clung to beliefs that seemed irrational. They believed in ghosts. They studied omens, dreaded comets, and feared witchcraft. Apocalyptic writing flourished, and credence was given to visions, spells, and curses. Prophets and mystics abounded. The Lincolns and the Booths were very superstitious people. Reaching high and hard in life, they sought to allay misfortune by gestures and beliefs for which they had no rational explanation. William Herndon, Lincoln's longtime law partner, said that the president's superstitions ran through his being like a bluish-red vein runs through the whitest marble. Mary Lincoln was equally affected. For example, she was fearful of Fridays, the day her old slave mammy told her the devil made his weekly tally of her misdeeds. Friday would be the day on which her son Eddie and her father-in-law Thomas died, and the day on which